Welcome back, welcome back. It's Thursday night already. And have I got some good stuff for us to go over today? Yep, we've got dimensional doorways, we've got time machines, and we've got woo. Everything you need to concoct a brilliant pre-show stream. I'll be with you in just a moment. That's some right good dramatic music that for coming in, eh? Oh, I tell you, I hope I can live up to the theme tune. But no, welcome back everyone. We are approaching the hour of 9 o'clock here in the UK on Thursday, the 11th of February. Hope you're all doing well out there. I hope you're all enjoying our fantastical journey through space as we cling on to this blue marble. And cling on we do. Yes, indeed. Until we can find the escape hatch. And maybe, just maybe today, we've got our first clue that there may well be that escape hatch. Dimensional doorways. What better things to get into on a pre-show stream? But before we do anything, yes, I have rebuzzed the hair. I got rid of the bits that Anne had purposely left. I actually think she'd purposely left bigger bits of hair on my head, just so that she could get a personal laugh out of it, okay? But more Ron in the chat room. Big shout out to you. Jason, throwing some ghosts in there. We've got Donnie. Donnie was watching something a moment ago. What was Donnie watching? Let's see if I can put on my Bush Telegraph and figure it out. I think he was watching Long Tan. There you go, the Battle of Long Tan. That's what he was watching. Julie, good evening to you. Adam, the escape hatch may well be deletion. You could be right there, dude. I've always thought that myself. Level 2. We have got, what's Jason saying here? The van blew up on Saturday, got new on Sunday, and then somebody crashed into it today, then got home and a new GoPro 8 camera. Oh, broken out of the box. Oh, is it Mercury retrograde? Is it Mercury retrograde, Jason? That is no joy, man. Little love and vibes to our intrepid underground / paranormal researcher. We've got Jules in there. Lewis. Moron was first. I'm sure there's more people filing in as we speak. Shawnee from Newcastle in the GB. Yes. Why I, man? Why I? Newcastle? I'm crap at the Geordie accent. I apologise, Shawnee. And there we are, Brie and Jen. Now we can start. We were waiting for you, Brian. We were. No, but we're going to look at dimensional doorways. We're going to look at a potential time machine. I know, right? Bit of Area 51, bit of woo, and then we'll all head on over. Because we will all head on over to the Kev Baker show, right? The main game in town. Our TFR radio gig. Yes, indeed. And of course, you can also watch the Kev Baker show if you're a member of our Discord. But we've got one rule. Don't be a douche canoe. That's the only rule we've got. Don't be a douche canoe. And leave your politics and religion at the door, because we tend to find that's the sort of thing that causes problems. But hey, no problems on here today. We're all systems go. I'm going to be making some new graphics for the background. I've seen something I like. I found a new technique. Leave it with me. It's my own personal pet project. But I have got some good stuff for you today, thanks to more Ron in the chat room. And I deliberately slow myself down there, because if you run that together, you know what it says, okay? And he's far from one of those, ladies and gentlemen, far from one of those. And you'll see that Coney is back. Maybe some of you noticed, maybe some of you didn't. He'd fallen off. He was just sitting down by the sign. He was chilling out with the alien. What alien? That alien. We've got a kangaroo there as well. Yep, we've got a lovely little ornamental flower. Yep, there as well. And what else we got kicking in? We've got the Wookiee. We've still got the Wookiee sitting there. Yeah. All of the fan club building up. I've got stuffed toys and animals and inanimate objects are my permanent cheerleading fan club on the desk here, okay? Really disturbing thing you didn't really probably need to know. But that's how we roll on here, folks. That's how we roll. So I'm going to thank more Ron for today's link because I had a couple of stories dug up. I was getting ready to set the stream. I was going over to Discord to see what was happening, and there was a link. There was a link to a story, and I thought, you know what? Something about this. I'm going to click it, and boy, am I glad I did. Because it may just well take us to other dimensions. Yes, indeed. And this is what inspired it all here. Scientists are pretty sure they found a portal to the fifth dimension. Now, we've talked about CERN from time to time here on the channel. We touched that subject, right? And we know that already over there, it's not speculation, but they were talking openly about the fact that when you crash these particles together at high energies, you literally do open doorways or portals or micro wormholes into other unseen, maybe undetectable dimensions. So this is nothing new. We know the science has been worked on. We've got Ernest Muntz, I think his name was, who was one of the people over at the Department of Energy. In fact, at one point, he headed up the Department of Energy. And he was on a Netflix talk show hosted by Chelsea Handler, the Chelsea Show, and he openly admitted that, yes, the Department of Energy do experiments that look into other dimensions. So this is nothing new. That this is part of the science world, the sci-fi world that we're now living in right now. So let's take a look at what this article's got to say, because as you can tell, it had me at the headline. It had me already. So it says it's probably in this weird particle. So we're talking about a particle that may contain the escape hatch that I was talking about. Maybe. So it says, and we're going to read from Popular Mechanics here, fair use, because I will be discussing this. I will definitely be altering the comment, the kind of commentary with my own shtick, as I tend to do. So that should keep us safe for the old fair use. In a new study, scientists say that they can explain dark matter by posting a particle that links to a fifth dimension. There's a lot of talk of dark matter, and more encouragingly, there's a lot of talk about alternative ideas and theories to dark matter. Dark matter's never really sat well with me, and who cares what sits well with me, but it always just seemed like a convenient way to explain some math, to keep the equations right. But it's something we entirely don't know, that's why it's dark, right? But it says here, while the warped extra dimension is a trademark of the popular physics model introduced in 1999, this research published in the European Physical Journal C is the first to cohesively use the theory to explain the long-lasting dark matter problem within particle physics. So our knowledge of the physical universe relies on the idea of dark matter, which takes up the vast majority of matter in the universe. In fact, what you can see in the universe is actually a minuscule amount compared to the dark matter. So dark matter is a kind of pinch hitter that helps scientists explain how gravity works, because a lot of features would dissolve or fall apart without an X factor of dark matter. Even so, dark matter doesn't disrupt the particles we do see and feel, meaning it must have other special properties as well. Quote, there are still some questions which do not have an answer within the standard model of physics. One of the most significant examples is the so-called hierarchy problem. The question why the Higgs boson is much lighter than the characteristic scale of gravity. The standard model of physics cannot accommodate some of the observed phenomena, and one of the most striking examples is the existence of dark matter. So the new study seeks to explain the presence of dark matter using the warped extra dimension model. The scientists study fermion masses, which they believe could be communicated into a fifth dimension through portals, creating dark matter relics and fermionic dark matter within the fifth dimension. Now that sounds like something straight out of a how to build a time machine type book. But it's not too much more. It's not a huge article. If anyone's interested in a microscope, some cracking ones there. So could dimension travel in fermions explain at least some of the dark matter that scientists have so far not been able to observe? Quote, we know that there is no variable candidate in the standard model of physics, the scientists say. So already this fact asks for the presence of new physics. Basically, a key piece of mathematics creates bulk masses of fermions that are manifested into so-called fifth dimensions, warped space, or fifth dimensional warped space. Now, this dark sector is one possible way to explain the huge amount of dark matter that, so far, has eluded detection using any traditional measurements designed for the standard model of physics. Now, fermions jammed through a portal to a warped fifth dimension could be acting as dark matter. How would we observe this kind of matter in order to verify it? Well, to date, this is the hold up on many different theories of dark matter, but all it would take to identify fermionic dark matter in a warped fifth dimension would be the right kind of gravitational wave detector, something growing in prevalence around the world. Indeed, the answer to dark matter conundrum can be just around the corner. Now, that's a whole heap of science in there, right? It gets a bit confusing if you're not into the science world and you don't read this kind of language a lot. But what really gets me is down at the bottom here. And it's kind of synchronistic, right? Because I got through this and I thought, all right, they're talking about dimensional doorways, not the kind of ones that we usually talk about or speculate about or the kind of woo stuff. But stick with me a moment. Because it says here, how would we observe this kind of matter in order to verify it? Today, this is the hold up on many different theories of dark matter, but all it would take to identify fermionic dark matter in a warped fifth dimension would be the right kind of gravitational wave detector, something growing in prevalence around the world. Indeed, the answer to the dark matter conundrum could be just around the corner. Now, for me, that's really synchronistic, right? Because if we come over here, and of course there's an advert playing, that was bound to happen, right? If we come over here to where I had a conversation with this chap, Dr. Brian Keating, if you notice the title, it was the truth about Galileo, and I always thought Galileo had been like persecuted and tortured under the Vatican. Wrong. Not what it seems on the tin. Go figure, we'd been told a lie. We were talking about the modern challenges that science faces with people that don't believe anything that comes from science, all the way to how it works within science itself, and all these types of things. But we also spoke about Brian's project that he's working on now. And the project he's working on now, it's no small thing, because he's hoping to prove the multiverse. And he's hoping to do that because he thinks, and he tells me in this interview here that you can see over on the main channel, the big channel, he tells me that using things like LIGO and looking for things like gravitational waves, that may be the indicator that they're onto something. Unbeknown to me at the time, he was literally talking about the type of experiments that they're going to be doing, that he's going to be doing, that may take us closer to the answer on dark matter. That's pretty cool that we could have been talking to the dude that ends up working on something that might finally win him the Nobel Prize. Because remember, this chap here, Brian Keating, Dr. Brian Keating, he's got a book out called Losing the Nobel Prize. And he came that close, that close. Only confirmation bias had got in the way. And he had to hold his hands up, be perfectly honest. And they took it off him. He didn't win it in the end. And then they had the cheek to invite him back next year to pick that year's winner. Go figure. But please check out that interview. Check that out because I think it goes hand in hand with this here. And I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool that we're in contact, we're in good standing with one of the scientists that's working on this literal problem. And literally, he is looking for other universes, evidence of a multiverse. Perhaps a universe that was here before ours. And perhaps that might mean there'll be ones that come after us as well. But it was right up at the top of this article, before I even got reading it, that something caught my eye. And I'm not sure if I managed to hide it on time before you lot out there seen it or not. But up in the other articles, I came across this little thing here. China swears, it promises, ladies and gentlemen. They have assured us they're not building a time machine. And we know we can believe them, right? So we'll come back in a moment and we're going to get into, are the Chinese building a time machine? Are they? And when you're in the chat room, for me, my opinion, for what it's worth, dark matter, meh, not keen on that. Like I say, just seems convenient. What do you think it is? Is it evidence already? Is it the other multiverse? Is it all the information? Is it the Akash? Is it a network of mycelial connections that we could travel the cosmos? Tell me, folks, what do you think? Ms. Space Cake, Onslow, 8 Truths Seeking, Archetypes Are Us, Donnie, Nothing As It Seems. Wow, they're all filing in now. Good to see you all. Yes, indeed. There's Anne coming in as well. Oh, it's a good day. It's a good day, yeah. And I won't burst your eardrums out. Don't worry. Ooh, Donnie says put a mirror in front of a mirror. Ooh. I don't like that effect, Donnie. Oh, that makes you feel like you're falling through the doorway. There we go. There we go. Yes, I was having a quick munch in between stories. Come on, folks. Come on, give me that. So, on to the time machines. And Ms. Spacecake says, I think you have something with the traveling mycelium. Well, anyone who watches Star Trek will know that I blatantly lifted that from there, but I think there could be something like that. Some network. Something we're yet to be aware of. We think we're really, really clever, but maybe not. Maybe we only have that much of the picture of physics and science and everything else, but it goes like, yo, it's like massive. We're only confined to a little piece, and we can do wondrous things, don't get me wrong, but there's still so much to discover. And there's still so much to talk about. And whether you can or can't build a time machine, I think at some point, whether it's when you're a child or when you're growing up or when you're like me all the time, your mind does at some stage think, what if you could travel in time? I don't know if it's possible, folks. I would like to think so. The Fox Mulder in me, it craves a bit of time travel. And there's been various people claimed it over the years. One name that springs to mind is John Teeter. If you haven't checked out all of that kind of stuff going on, the John Teeter stuff, that's pretty fascinating. There's a YouTube channel here on the platform, Apex TV. A big shout out to the YouTube channel with, in my opinion, the only known working time machine. How do I know they've got a working time machine? Because their content is completely made up of time travelers. If we come over here, and this is no criticism, it's an observation. It's we come over here. There we go, Apex TV. Hey, 1.3 million subscribers. That's what that gets you. But here we go. 11 months ago. They've not been at it for a year. Maybe the time machine broke down. Did it break down? What? Now that's interesting. That makes it actually interesting again. But here we've got man claims he's a cyborg time traveler. Uses robotic movements and speech. Little lad there. Oh, right. Come on, man. Let's see. So let's see what this is all about, shall we?
His name is Oren, and he claims to be a cyborg time traveler from the future. Specifically,
such as disease, famine, environmental disaster, and technological singularity. We are here to warn humans and to prevent the fusion in the future that we have seen. Oren is a normal person.
So there you go. There are people claiming to be time travelers out there. Now, what you make of them, it's up to you. Here we've got time travelers from the year 2075. They had one from the year 4040, 2033. You'll notice a lot of them have their faces blanked out. This guy here, he wears a latex mask. Hey, it is what it is, right? But could it be that China are building a time machine? Now, in recent times, I have been watching, or not actively following, but because I'm into quantum computing and I get the headlines from that, I see a lot of quantum stuff coming from China. They recently done quantum communications type test over thousands of kilometers. They've got satellites and they're talking about quantum encryption, and they do have the quantum computer lab, the supercomputer lab over there. So do they have the potential? Do they have the technology? Perhaps. As much as we do. Do they have accelerators and things like that? Yep. They've also got plans for a massive accelerator. What's that all about? But if we come back over here and we'll take a look at the story. China swears it isn't building a time machine. Bizarre leaked documents started the rumours. Now, I haven't read this one. I just thought, when I seen it on the other article up the top there, I thought, right, we'll open it up. So we're going to read this ourselves for the first time together. Comes from the 10th of February this year. It's written by Caroline Delbert. I like that there. I'm going to take that, build something like that, but have like the Stargate effect in the middle. Leave it with me, folks. From the annals of nothing to see here, China's largest state physics lab is insisting that it's not helping a private company build a time machine. The strange happenings are straight out of the science or scientist version of TMZ, with a leaked PowerPoint presentation and gossip swirling. Oh boy. So, is the Chinese government collaborating with a startup in order to travel through time? Earlier this month, unsubstantiated, now we have to really emphasize that, unsubstantiated documents began circulating online that seemed to suggest that the Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of High Energy Physics is partnering with the private Rute Technology Development Technology on something called Space-Time Tunnel Generation Experimental Device. That's a space-time tunnel generation experimental device. Here we can see some of the PowerPoint here. Like some kind of circular kind of apparatus in the middle of a casing. It says China's The Paper journalist, which obtained a leaked PowerPoint presentation containing information about the project, has more about the device. The device can distort time and space, control the flow rate of time, break through the barrier of space and time, and can be widely used for travel, time travel, interstellar voyage, life extension, etc. The project plans to select a location in China and lease an area of about 16 acres to build a scientific experimental base. It is expected that the device will be able to successfully shuttle the space-time experiment 7 to 12 months after the funds are in place. So they're saying that once they get this facility, we're under a year away from this potentially being a thing. Now, we have to keep a very open mind. I, being a big fan of any idea of time travel, I want this to be true. But at the same time, I can't just let my confirmation blind me to the fact that we're dealing with totally unsubstantiated information coming from a country that's notorious about keeping a lid on things. Okay? So this is what it is, folks. Let's just make that very, very clear. I'm not going ball deep and telling you this is definitely the real McCoy. We're looking at it. I provide. We'll all decide, okay? The PowerPoint also claims, per Six Park, that the team behind the project has reached a preliminary cooperation agreement with a research and development team composed of well-known experts and academics, basically, of the Institute of High Energy Physics of the Chinese Academy of Science, and that Nobel laureate Guo Kun recognized and praised the device in addition to other esteemed scientists. Now, not long after the PowerPoint document spread online, however, the Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of High Energy Physics issued a statement vehemently denying its involvement in the project. It is not true that our institute and the Shanxi Rutai technology mentioned in the article, Development Technology Company Limited, and its personnel have not had any contact or cooperation, and our firm will not bear any legal responsibility for any losses caused by false propaganda. Even odder, the paper journalist discovered that Rutai Technology has only been a company since December 31st, 2020, and Nobel laureate Guo Kun doesn't actually exist. Rutai also claimed, or also denied its involvement, according to the Chongqing Morning News, claiming a financing information platform mistakenly created the presentation. A financing information platform mistakenly created the presentation. Why? Why would they even begin to make a presentation about a potential time-space portal generation device? What's that all about? Classic misunderstanding? Whatever the hell actually happened here, it does beg one question. Just what would the state-funded time machine look like anyway? So the mythical drive in question, which could prolong life by using Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity to distort space-time, per Yike, sounds pure, or sure sounds like some kind of hibernation if time travel is accomplished by prolonging life. In the Bible, Methuselah didn't time travel to the age of 969, but the right hibernation could suspend the human body for long space journeys, for example. Like a Star Trek character, someone could wake up several centuries after they went to sleep. Now, we know they're working on cryogenic technology. Myself and Nano had a joke about this the other night. There's only one problem to the cryogenic technology that we know of so far, and that is that to date, they've never ever managed to reanimate any of the cells or any of the animals that they put into deep freeze. There's a company out there that offer cryogenic freezing, and they guarantee you, and this is actually part of their shtick, it's 100% fatal. It's 100% fatal. Why? Because you need to go in there alive, and then they need to take you under into a state of suspended animation. So it's 100% fatal because they've never brought anyone back yet. They're literally killing you in the hope that one day they'll crack it and they'll be able to warm you up and you'll come back. Why would you even want to do that? All your family would be gone. Everything you knew would be gone. Everything would be different. Why would you want to do that? It's always baffled me, that one. Always baffled me. Now, I get it. You know, maybe you get some bad disease and you know that there's a cure just around the corner, but not in time for you. Well, put me on ice for 5 years, 10 years. Now that, okay, that's different. Maybe, you know, different scenario. And, you know me, each to their own, personal responsibility. If you want to go and get frozen, that's on you. Don't come crying to me if they ever thaw you out, although you wouldn't be able to come crying to me, technically, because you'd be all frozen in a fridge. But that aside, it's always struck me as a weird option. So, but is it really time travel? Comes down to semantics. Clearly, or certainly, being able to pause and then resume life with a time period between fits the literal idea of travelling in time. Suspending yourself doesn't do it. But unlike, say, using lasers to bend space-time, prolonging life does not extend backwards in time. That's usually a key part of any time travel schema, because travelling into the future just seems like, well, very efficient waiting. I like that. At the same time, it's easy to see why hibernation time travel would be highly sought after by inventors. It could be, or it does seem far-fetched for a third party outside of science to make up a list of academic luminaries for a fake PowerPoint presentation. So what's going on? The truth may only be revealed when the Chinese leaders start to reach their 150th birthdays. Well, that would certainly prove something's going on, right? Are the Chinese building a time travel device? I would imagine that DARPA, the Chinese, the UK, I would think any governmental military industrial complex type outfit, if there's a chance we can be doing it, you know they're going to be researching it, right? If for no other reason, even if they don't believe it, if they find out that the other side are doing it, that the Chinese are doing it, the chance that the Chinese might crack it before we do, or anyone else does, that tells me that this has definitely been researched. Now I'm going to get a quick drink of coffee. Got a little frog in my throat. But I'm going to dig up a website, a guy that I've mentioned before, and his name was Dr. David Anderson. And he appeared on the scene and then just disappeared again. And the reason I'm going to bring him up again, and I've brought him up before, is because he headed up something called the Time Institute. And he was talking about the fact that they do have temporal technology. And not only that, they could detect other countries around the world when they were using their temporal technology. And Saudi Arabia and China, if my memory serves me correctly, were two of the places that were very, very, very much playing about with this potential temporal technology. And you thought I couldn't bring you a bit of woo pre-show Friday, eh? Eh? I'm telling you, folks. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. There we go, there we go. Time. What is it? Can we travel it? Can you go back? Can you go forward? Is it something that we've managed to put a measurement scale on to the atomic level on something that may not even exist? What is time? Is it an illusion? If it is an illusion, then surely we can cheat it. I remember hearing Nano Girl talking recently about bending time in your mind and in the physical world, the illusory physical world around you bends to fit what you think. Can we travel in time in our mind? Can we do it? Do we need a device? I don't know, but I'm going to take you over here. Now, Freeman TV, I've had him on the Kev Baker show a couple of times, a few years ago now. Love to get Freeman back on, but this was 9 years ago. 9 years ago, folks, right? The Great Time War. Now, come down here, it says, time travel and the elite. Did Michael Jackson time travel back to Akhenaten's Egypt? What will the Great Time Wars be like? Have you wondered what it's like inside a time machine? Dr. David Lewis Anderson will answer these questions and more. A Great Time War. What would that look like? What would that look like if people started, or countries or nations or somebody started to play about with time? How would we be able to detect that? What kind of symptoms would there be? Mandela's? I don't know. But this is where it gets interesting. It says David Lewis Anderson, born in Weirton, West Virginia, is a physicist. I think now it's been a long time since I've checked into this. Anything could have happened to Dr. David Lewis Anderson. If he's passed, because he was a fair age when I heard him, then do this with utmost respect. But I liked what the guy had to say, and the fact that he disappeared not long after coming onto the scene, that really made it even more intriguing. I think I heard him on Coast to Coast maybe once. Maybe. Definitely on Freeman though, because I listened to this podcast time and time again. Said Anderson received multiple degrees, graduating with honours in the fields of engineering, physics and philosophy. He was employed at a young age by the United States Air Force, conducting advanced research and development at the prestigious Air Force Flight Test Center at Edwards Air Force Base in the Mojave Desert. He later founded an organization called TTRC, an advanced time technology research laboratory located on Long Island, New York, in the United States of America. During that time, he proposed several new details on theories for reversing time at sub-light speeds and laid the foundation for what would later become known as the time-warped field theory, an approach that modelled and described how to use the natural forces of inertial frame dragging for power generation and to create contained and controllable fields of closed, time-like curves. Starting to sound a lot like the dimensional properties and portals and things we were talking about, right? Weird, huh? Sure is. Anderson provided one of the first comprehensive overviews of the historical views of time, time control, and time travel in the documentary Time Travel: Journeys into Time. His ideas were later applied for the development of high-performance time reactor systems for energy production and time technology research at what is known as today as the Anderson Institute. Boom. Welcome to the Anderson Institute. This is it here. Now, we could probably spend a whole night going through this, I would imagine. Says here on time. And then I'll need to start wrapping it up after this a little bit, folks. But I think we're at the precipice of a rabbit hole that we're going to continue to go down here. And I'm going to find out if Dr. Anderson is still around, still available, and can he come on to KBS? Ooh, I set us some dizzying heights, don't I? Don't I? But if we can get Geordie Rose, we can get David Anderson. As simple as that. See it and believe it, folks, and tell you we'll manifest it. Time is a measured and measurable period, a continuum that lacks spatial dimensions. Time is of philosophical interest and is also the subject of mathematical and scientific investigation. It is a component of the measuring system used to sequence events, to compare the duration of events and the intervals between them, and to quantify the motion of objects. Time has been a major subject of religion, philosophy, and science, but defining it in non-conventional manner, applicable to all fields of study, has consistently eluded the greatest scholars. In physics, as well as in other sciences, time is considered one of the few fundamental quantities. Time is used to define other quantities, such as velocity. So defining time in terms of such quantities would result in circularity of definition. An operational definition of time, wherein one says that observing a certain number of repetitions of one or another standard cyclical event, such as the passage of a free-swinging pendulum, constitutes one standard unit, such as the second, is highly useful in the conduct of both advanced experiments and everyday affairs of life. The operational definition leaves aside the question whether there is something called time, apart from the counting activity just mentioned, that flows and can be measured. Investigations of a single continuum called space-time brings the nature of time into association with related questions into the nature of space, questions that have their roots in the works of early students of natural philosophy. Among prominent philosophers, there are two distinct viewpoints on time. One is that time is part of the fundamental structure of the universe, a dimension in which events occur in sequence. Time travel, in this view, becomes a possibility as other times persist like frames on a film strip, spread out across the timeline. Sir Isaac Newton subscribed to this realist view, and hence it is sometimes referred to as Newtonian time. The opposing view is that time does not refer to any kind of container, and events and objects move through nor to any entity that flows, but it is instead part of a fundamental intellectual structure, together with space and number, within which humans sequence and compare events. The second view, in the tradition of Gottfried Leibniz and Immanuel Kant, holds that time is neither an event nor a thing, and thus it is not measurable, nor can it be travelled. Temporal measurement has occupied scientists and technologists and was a prime motivation in navigation and astronomy. Periodic events and periodic motion have long served as standards for units of time. Examples include the apparent motion of the sun across the sky, the phases of the moon, the swing of a pendulum, and the beat of a heart. Currently, the international unit of time, the second, is defined in terms of radiation emitted by cesium atoms. Time is also of significant social importance, having economic value. Time is money, as well as personal value, due to an awareness of the limited time in each day and in human life spans. So yes, I think, if you would like, I think we will get into a more in-depth look at the Anderson Time Institute, time travel, dimensions. I feel a little deep dive into all of these topics going on. It's definitely in the works, coming sometime soon, but I want to know what you're saying. Want to know what all you people out there are saying. Let me dig up some other tunes here. Let me see. I need my Stranger Things. That's what we need. A little bit of that one. So yeah, I'm going to come into the chat room. I'm going to come in. You're a Steiner scholar? Ms. Space Cake? Nice. Nice. Seen somebody mentioning Ilana Freeland there. I need to get back in touch with Ilana. She was, oh, wrong thumbnail. She was, she had messaged me not long ago. I think there's going to be a show with Ilana coming up soon. Is it time to reunite spirit and science as it truly is? No Gates, no Elon, no crazies. Adam comes up with a great point. We might not be able to get our hands on David Anderson. He may be in the other dimension. Greg has heard of that Anderson talk. Yeah, I need to go and get Scotty soon. So let's just take a little listen here.
Anywhere in the world within minutes. But not so lucky with the HTV2 or the 44
body like the Earth in space actually twists space-time around it. And I came up with a mathematical model that actually had never existed before describing the effects of inertial frame dragging, which later became time warp field theory. And at the time, I hoped to pursue that work in the Air Force, but at the time they weren't interested, so I took it outside and founded what was called the Time Technology Research Center.
Amazing. Well, you said that it would be that it was fairly simple. I myself, I was an algebra tutor. I love algebra. It's something I do for fun. Do you think I would be able to have the aptitude to be able to work out time travel?
Do you know what's absolutely amazing is it's interesting that you mention that because there's an exercise. I speak at universities all around the world, and when I'm working with young college physics students, one of the first things that we teach them is that if you can overcome the limitation of the way your mind works through your biological and cultural evolution and the way your senses are limited, you can actually boil down the complex world of space-time physics to basic algebra. And it is very possible. It's a very difficult thing to do because we don't see the universe and the world around us the way it is. We see it the way we are.
And some of our thoughts have gone to the idea that the universe is mental, that consciousness...
Okay, folks, now I'm going to get in touch with Freeman, see if we can play this and redo it all. At the very least, I think I'm going to play it on a Kev Baker show one night soon, over on the main show. I think it definitely needs listening to. FreemanTV.com, The Great Time War. Check that out. I think it's time for us to dive back into time. Yes, indeed. Yeah, God, I love geeking out over a bit of time. But listen, folks, I'm going to be running out of time in a moment. I'm hopefully going to be going and getting Scotty Lopez, and then we'll be going on the Kev Baker show over on TFRlive.com. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Big shout out to Ron in the chat room for that inspiration with the link that he gave. But dimensional doorways, time travel, this is the good stuff. This is what really interests me. I hope it's interested you. I hope I've been interesting enough. I hope I've been funny enough. I hope I've entertained you. I hope I've infotained you. Why ever you're here or for whatever reason you're here, thank you for being here. Have a great day, and I'll be back real soon over on the Kev Baker show. So please, please, please join me there. Where is the cube? There's the cube. Join me there real soon. I'll be there in under 20 minutes with Scotty Lopez. I'd love to see you all there too. So until then, I'm out of here. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.